In this video, I will take you step by step how to install Stable Diffusion and Animate Diff on your own computer so you can render AI animations directly on your machine. This is the latest update installations, and I will be sure we're going from every step just to eliminate some questions maybe pop up. First, what we need to do is create accounts on special sites. First, going to the GitHub, and all links for these resources will be down below, so you don't need to type right now. You can just simply click on those links and going to those resources. So as you're going to click on GitHub, you will take it first to the resource where the repository will reside for many codes that we're going to use, and I will highly recommend for you to create your own account here. Next, you are going to huggingface.co and same create resource at this place. In the future, we maybe need going and create resource login in a couple other places, but for now, these two places is almost required for the future download. The next, what you want to do is start downloading some software on your computer. First, going to the Git and downloaded software based on what OS system you use it. I'm downloading 64-bit Git for Windows setup. The next, I want to be sure my Python version is downloaded. And you want to be sure you're using Python 3.10.6, not the latest, because some of the newer versions of the Python does not support the torch, what we're going to use later. Another software I highly recommend for you to download, it is Visual Studio. All of this stuff what I'm showing, it is free. However, some of them will maybe ask for donations, and if you feel like you want to support the work, feel free to donate. But again, all of these applications are absolutely free for you to download and use it. You can download it Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, which is a bit lighter. Mostly what we needed is special libraries inside Visual Studio that we later can be utilizing, like for example with face swap or any other technology. Again, these ones it's not necessarily required right now, but in the future, if you're going to expand, I highly recommend download it. As well as the application, it's called Shutter. It is a standalone applications, but it will utilize also MPEG encoder library that we will going to use in Stable Diffusion. But by itself, these applications allowed us to take a video and split on the frames, as well take frames and put them together. This is very handy and free applications that I highly recommend for you to download it as well. After you download it, first what we want to do is going and install our Git. The Git will provide for us UI or application which allow to take source code from like Git library or other things and download it directly on your machine. We also will be automating this process after, so every time when you start your applications and look for the latest update and downloading them on your machine, so it will be automatically fixing some bugs or mistakes that may be found later. Okay, as we're starting, you right here you can see it's come up with information. Just go ahead, click install, and you'll notice right here I do have a previous version installed. So in this case, it will remove it if you have it older versions and replace it with the latest. Okay, next, after it's installed, we can run again and install it. If you don't install before, you can have it step by step, or you can have it all automatic. If you're upgrading, you have the options, show only new options, and I highly recommend to check this. Well, let's go take step by step as a fresh install. Notice right here we have our components that we can select it. I would recommend for you just go check over. Be sure you don't have it any unwanted options that may affect it. By default, it should be just fine. Okay, we'll go to next. Use it VM. It's a what type of editor. We'll just leave it as default here as well. Next, let's decide as default branch name or master. So we'll just leave it same as default as well. And we'll just leave it Git from command line, also third party, so it's what we're going to use. We leave it as default. Use it bound open SH, same. SSL libraries, same. Windows style Unix, yes. So we'll just go have it next, enable file system, and install. To verify if your Git installed properly, open command prompt, and you can do this by going down in the search bar and just type cmd. After you have command prompt open, and just type git inside, you'll notice it's come up with a help, so it's tell you that is Git is installed. Otherwise it will come up and said command or file not found, so you'll know then it's not installed properly. Most time if it's happened that you kind of need to run in administrative mode. You may have it insufficient rights on the first time when you install it, but it's happened very rarely, and mostly when you just run and install like here, you'll just have it Git is installed without any problem. Okay, next what we want to do is install Python version. You can have it more than one different version of Python installed at the same time on your computer, only if you put it in specific directories. So let's go ahead, click and run. Notice right here it's come up with a path and tell me if I want to install in default location, C user, whatever is my located. I can do customize installation, choose locations in a feature, and as well it says add Python here. What I recommend for you to do, if you don't have a Python installed previously and it's only one installation, then just use it install now by default. If you already have it other versions of Python and you want to keep it then maybe for different reasons, that you want to use it customize installations and install in the same folder where you're going to install Stable Diffusion. This way you can localize that install, that specific version of the Python, and use it just, for example, with Stable Diffusion Automatic 11.11. In my case, I'm going to use it to customize. The install now is a little bit easy because you don't need to select all these options, and it's automatically will install documentations or other things. So let's go ahead, click on Customize Installation, and right here you can see we have documentation, pip. So all of this we do want to install it. Next options, you have it. I do want to install for all users, so you can access from different accounts if you need login. Associate Python, yes, we want to enable this. Create shortcuts, add Python environments, definitely you want to do that. Precompile library, yes. Download the debugging, we don't care about any of this. And you want to install your customized location. For me, so it will be D classes, Stable Diffusion class, so I'm just taking and install an allocation. So next, I'll just need to go click install. And in some cases, if you have like this setup fail, it's just because you already have early versions or other versions installed that may be conflicted. And mostly this will happen when you have a global variable is enabled, because it won't be overridden. And I did already install it. In your case, if you don't have it, it's continue. If you still want to proceed this, just enable global variable in that case. You can also validate if your Python install is correct. All what you need to do, just go ahead and type Python, and it should actually run Python for you. Notice we'll have it versions is also tell which is globally installed in this case. To exit, Control-Z or Command-Z, and you can exit from Python running inline running code. So this is we validate we install those ones. Next, what we want to do is install Visual Studio. Same things, we'll go right here and click on Visual Studio. This may take a little bit longer time for you to install it, but same things if you just go ahead and continue. Notice it will have a time when it's a downloading library and everything. This is libraries, how I said before, we're going to use them in a later. If you already have it Visual Studio installed, you'll come up with like this menu where it says, hey, this is older versions, you have a new update versions, and you can see my current version 17.7.5, the newer is 11, and it is take 8.5 gigabytes, so it's take a quite bit size to download it, and depend on your connections, maybe take some time to do this, but I recommend for you to update to latest because it does fix some errors. Okay, so after some time, and it's take quite a bit of time, it's done and you can finish updating. So remember, it may take a little bit time for this. Okay, so we're done with this. We install Visual Studio, install everything. It's now we're ready to actually going and install Stable Diffusion. Now we kind of start working with a command prompt. So for this, go use your file manager and navigate to the directory where you want to install it. In my case, I just did on the drive classes, Stable Diffusion class. When my file manager opened, I just click on the top where is the path and just type cmd here. And what's happened, it will open command prompt in precisely directory where we want to install it. Our next step is actually take the source code from GitHub, from the library repository where it is, and clone or copy to our directory. When I say clone, it means it's not just a copy files, it's also establish special connections. It's meaning when we launch and we have a special command, it will go online, verify if what we have installed is same, if it's no update, and run. If it's update, it will downloading them. So it's make much easy installation. However, you don't need to do this way. If you prefer, just download it zip file and extract in the directory. So for me, I'm going with the installations and I'm going to open, okay, where's my file? Right here. This is my command prompt, and I'm just going to run this git space clone http and a path. Remember, all of these links and commands will have it down below, so you can copy and paste them. I'm going right here, just copy and paste and press enter. Because it's downloading from online a quite bit large libraries, it may take a little bit time depending on your speed of the computer. So in my cases, you can see it's run quite a bit fast. Let's look what is put it, and you can see we installed it, created additional directories right here. We also have all those files that is I was downloading kind of in the same directory, my installations. I prefer them saved about the same places. For me, it's kind of working directory, but you don't necessarily need to do. You can have it like download directory or other things. For me, for this class specifically, I like to keep it everything at one place. Notice we have this Stable Diffusion web UI directory. Okay, the file what we need to run, it's actually located inside this. So let's go type SD is a change directory, so we'll go inside directory, and as I start typing SD, you can press tab and it will automatically fill our line. So we have a Stable Diffusion, press in, and let's go look again, have it our directory. What we're looking here is for this web UI user batch file that is will help us running and installing for the first time. So let's go ahead and type again, and we'll go web UI dash user, and you can press tab key and it will fill up kind of after fill the name, so you don't need to type everything. Now when we're done, let's go ahead and run it, and notice what it says here. You can run just from Explorer without any admin rights. If you run as admin, sometimes it will lock and will require you to run as administrator over and over. Notice when it's run for first time, it's downloading like a pip, install special files, and right here you can see it's tried to installing those libraries, downloading more and more. Sometimes this installation may take time, will be depend on the speed of your connections and speed of your computer. So I'm currently going to pause till this is complete. As we're installing, you notice it also install the special safe sensor. It is our libraries, or in this case it's a models. It's a pre-trained model so they can work, and this will take some time, but you must have them. We will install additional extensions as we start running this application, so you can go and select different models as you need it, But for now, we're just going with what Stable Diffusion will install by default. Okay, after installation completed, it actually will start launching its application. Notice same batch file that we ran before, you want to actually save it, because this is how we always will start our Stable Diffusion on 11 automatic 11.11 installations. And right here you can see our servers start working. So this in this window we can see it is loading and starting, and if we look on this window, this is what already we can actually start creating. We're already launching our AI generator here. Few things we actually need to set up before we start processing. So if I'm going right here in a prompt in type kitty fluffy and try to generate, I will have some errors in some cases, because we also can select a checkpoint, but it is, you can see by default already start and creating image for us. So it's kind of out of the box. We install it and we ready to use. Let me go over this interface very fast for you if you are not familiar with this. On top we have it our checkpoint select, and checkpoint, it is pre-trained different models. For example, some can be for the anime, some can be like cartoon, old movies, specific models. You can even create your own model pre-train and launch here. And this is where you're selecting them in checkpoint in a drop window. By default, it will select predefined, and actually down below we can see right here it's a model v1 prompt email only. Also, if we click on drop down box, you can see it is right here model, because it is default, like almost demo universal model was downloading as we was installing Stable Diffusion. So under this you can see we have a text to image. It means where I type my text, it's what will be created. Be careful, because many checkpoints, they are not safe for workplace. Just keep this in mind. And if you want to avoid some of those things, like for example, I can put it most want to avoid some unnecessary or imagery. I don't want it, because this is running on your machine. It's in, you can run almost any prompt you want it. So in a negative prompt, I can just type nude, so it's meaning without any nude, render for me. And in this case, when I start rendering, it should create it for me a clean, nice image that I wanted. I also can specify SpongeBob, for example, and generating SpongeBob. In this case, you can see how fast. In a negative, you can, in this case, you can say realistic. So, or art, or broken arm, limb. So it's have it actually quite a bit engineering you can do with a prompt. But what we have here, it's a text where we say what we wanted, and in negative space we say what we don't want it in our image. Down below we have it our generations. It's a sampling method what we want to use, and I will have a different video where I explain how the Stable Diffusion work and what all of this, the clip, the model, the pre-trainer sampling method, so what does it all mean and how they all work together. Be sure to check the other videos about Stable Diffusion. But right now, let's say stable sampling method. Many times you will use it just one by default, DPM ++2. Other ones is use it Euler and Euler A. Those is also very fast and good sampling method you can use to utilize. You can always just go ahead, click down and experiment with them. But at the beginning, just stick around with what predefined first one. It's worked very, very well. Next, we have it schedule type. We'll have it automatic sampling steps. The image will create from the noise. And a sampling, it's like have it multi-passes and take from the noise and creating better and better image. So this is how good it is. Too much steps will create over sharpness, kind of like super HDR image will look. Well, let me show you. just, yeah, left buffer should work this. I will remove realistic, so no negative prompt. And we have it 20 steps. So let's go ahead, generate. And you notice right here we created one. So let's go say, what's happening if I reduce steps? What if I have it only 3 steps? And you can see it's look how the eyes broke and everything, because system only passed like think 3 times. It says, well, it's good enough, I need to process more. But if you're going more, like for example 100 steps, it will take longer, and you can see how longer it's taken, but it is refined better and better and better. And compare image with a clip or a language, so it will create a better looking model. You have it, the sampling steps is different. It will be like you're cooking, yes, not enough or too much, so you can create all this stuff. And right here, example, we have it 150, it's all the way to the max, and in some cases it will look not very good, so overdone, because it's like a cooking things. And you can see some little bit on our eyes and hand, so kind of play with these settings. Usually almost everywhere it will be between 40 and 70. This is kind of very nice spot which allowed you to process quite a bit fast, but same time with a good amount of details. Okay, below we have some additional options. We'll look on them later. And most other ones important, it's a width and height. By default it says 512 by 512. You can make smaller and bigger. But right size, it's actually very important in Stable Diffusion, because right size is what will make properly calculated. Well, let me say this. When they train the model, they train on specifically size. It could be 128 or 256. It's based on the bits, yes, 8-bit, or it can have it 512. Many models will tell you what they are using, and if they are in different size that you're using, they may produce not very good quality. Sometimes could be blur or not enough details. So you almost anytime you want to be in this width and height for the model, but it does mean you need specifically square. You can have it a wide or portrait or landscape. You can have different types, but it does recommend if you keep it in the same amount of pixels. If you think, you know, if you have it 512 multiplied by 512, you have those pixels. So if you stay around that area, it's probably the best way. So, but it does mean you can also increase. So for example, we have it 124 and we can render. Here's one problem what will happen. Because how I say it's 512 by 512 for this model, it's need to render twice of them, and sometimes it will render with a like 2 different images. Well, let's try and see what happened. In many cases you will have it 2 puppies instead 1, and you can see actually it's what happened here. See, we have 2 puppies. Even it says 1 puppy, but because it's how it's rendered, because 512 by 512, it's rendered 2 images and put them together, and on both of them put it puppy. So if you actually want to increase size, I will recommend for you to out painting or in painting use it, but those techniques will look a little bit later. Okay, let me go back to 512. Batch count, it's how many you can process images. So if you want to process, try different variations, and variations will go with our seed number. For example, right here you have it seed -1. It means random seed. Random seed, it's a number because it's creating based on the noise. The different random number will create different. So for example, we have this image, and if we're going to generate, you can see anytime when I do, it's a generate a different image. Well, if I want, for example, generate same but little bit variations, I can click reuse, and this is what take our seed number or special unique number reference to this pattern. So now if I have this unique number and I click generate, I will generate very close to this original image, and you can see I can click again generate. So it will work similar to this. We could have some variation and changes, but it will be work, for example, with the sampling method, for example, with CFG scale changing. So we could apply some manipulations in this, but general it will still same to go to that specific image. So in this case, it's good for you to remember what seed number, if you want to repeat it. Yes, you want to remember seed number, width, height, and your CFG scale. So in this case, you can come back and recreate that image you used before. Okay, so let's go very fast over other things because we still need to install our animations. And here we have it, image to image. It's where we can take one image as a beginning, and based on this image, we can create our next image. It's worked very well in combination with a ControlNet. ControlNet, it's a special addition to this Stable Diffusion that analyze image, and most important, analyze a lot of different options like a bone structure, like almost Puppet will create. And it's worked very well if you do animations and you want consistency animations. So right here we have a different image with textile inversions and all, with sketches and painting and all additional stuff that we can use it. We also have additional extras. It's where we can pre-train model, we can increase size, for example, upscale and other things we can do. We also have it information on images. It's an interrogation. So if I have a specific image, I can put it here and says, give me information, I'll process some other stuff, and it's you can extract from here. Checkpoint mergers, when we create new checkpoint like model, you can pre-train on your own photos, on your art. You can do this way. Same as right here, we have a train. Settings, it's where we can modify, and we'll going back to the settings soon. And modify some of this so it can work with our automations. And of course, next and more fun, it's called extensions. Here we can find all different additional extensions that we can use it with our applications. And here is where we can go find anime diff, so we can use with this. Okay, before we jump to this, let's say this is already predefined, pre-install it, and we have it LS, LoRa, scarce, real. So we don't actually have it. I don't see right here ControlNet installed by default. And one time it was, but it's okay because we're going to install by ourselves. To install, we can go to available. And in two ways you can install. One, we can, if we click on available and preload it, it's given us a list of all of these different, and it's a lot of different extensions that we can install it. Or we can also just go and install from URL. And if you have a special address, like you remember in Git, that address, we can copy paste here and it will install for us. Well, let's go see what we need to do to work with our anime div. And by the way, right here is our anime div. And all what we need to do is just follow installation instructions. First, let's see if we have everything that we needed. We'll have it anime div, we'll download it, automatic, and we needed ControlNet. Well, let's go back to our Stable Diffusion. We'll go to available, and right here where the search engine, where we have it search, we can go look for the ControlNet. And it is down below here. As we're typing ControlNet, so you can see right here we have different options for the ControlNet. What we need to find, it's one specifically, and this is called SD WebUI ControlNet. Down here, it is a little bit old, so I want to be sure we found the properly one. If I'm not sure if it's right or not, I can go back to text, click on ControlNet here, which is open in GitHub. In this case, I'll know that it is correct ControlNet. Okay, again, it's Stable Diffusion, and they have it original. Nope, we want to install it. And you notice right here we have it our repository, so we'll copy this path. Remember what I say, we can search there, but if we don't find, we can copy and then install from URL. We'll copy paste here, and we'll just click install it. So what it does in this case, we kind of like specify where's those files located. It's going there, download it, and install for us. And in some cases, because automatic 11 not always they're updating the libraries to the latest, it's best way to do going through the repository to see what they require, go directly to that place and download it in the codes that we use it. So right here, for example, we use it ControlNet. We also can go and click on animated diff, so we can install this one as well. Some installation will require for us to restart server, and ControlNet one of them. So it's meaning after when we finish installing, we want to go to our server that is running and just click on a closed button. So it will close this. And next we need to start again the batch files that we have there. So in this case, it will start and load it. Notice what's happening right here. It's come up. It also says it's a fail to install some problems. So let's go ahead and debug and see why it's a fail. So right here, it says denied access to our libraries. Okay, it's probably because it was already running this way. Also, notice on the names, try avoid spaces because some code as executed does not like spaces. So at least use like underscore or other things if you need it. So what I'm going to do is just restart our server, and right here, first what it does is going and install requirements. Because some of the requirements fail, many times what's happening is go to verify this and says, hey, I'm missing some of those requirements. And then this time it's going to install it. ControlNet, one of this very specific one, and it does require to install some special files and requirements. Let me show you what's happening here in our directory. So you'll notice as we install it this way inside, and we just run WebUI user. We also have all additional directories. What we're looking at is for the extensions. For example, if we go inside extensions, you notice now we have it, webcontroller.net is installed. If we go inside, we can see all of these execution models. What we need to look is inside the model and be sure this is installed. Currently, we're missing some of these models, which we want to go ahead and install there as well. Well, I'll show you in a second where we can download it, but those places where we want to put it. Okay, let's look right here what's going on. And you can see it is started automatically after we restarted. It did went and downloaded some additional files, all what we needed. And I'm just want to be sure everything is running. We don't have Xformer, don't worry about this. We have it, okay, it's downloaded our ControlNet. We'll just look deprecated. Okay, so this is just the warnings. We don't need to worry about this. Okay, and here we have our ControlNet. You can see it is installed. It's not necessary work because if we look on all these models and libraries, some of them probably not yet, like right there, not yet installed, so we maybe need to go install them as well. But we'll follow those instructions. Okay, ControlNet is installed at this time. Now let's go back to our, so let's go see how we can install animate div. We have a couple options. Same, we can go inside available, search here and just install from there, but it's look a little bit older. Otherwise, we can go and going with installation from URL. So for this, let's go to our web animate div. Where's a code? We click to expand, and HTTPS we'll just copy to clipboard. Now we're ready to go back and install from URL, paste it there, and click on install. After we installed animate div, we again want to restart our server. As we restart our server, you'll notice right here we have our animate div. Additional option is available, so we can start kind of working. And I say kind of working because we're not yet all the way done. Our next step is take those special models that train for animations and downloaded them on our computer. Well, now we begin a big task or downloaded all of these models. So be sure you have plenty of space on your hard drive. Let's start with the ControlNet models. I'll say we have at least, but we don't necessarily have it ControlNet. And we can place them if you look in models ControlNet. Let's look on our file. And we have it. Okay, let's close it down, our extensions. And if we're going to our stable diffusion, down to the folder, and we'll have it right here, models. Let's expand it. And you can see ControlNet. Currently, it's empty. So a lot of models we're going to save in this directory. I'm just going ahead and copy this path, Control-C on the top. Next, we're going in the directory, and what we need downloaded, it's notice below we have large, medium, and small. So you just right click or click and open location for these models, and you need download it with the PHT, Safe Center, and bin. So those files. We don't necessarily need a YAML, but you can also download it as well. Okay, to download them, you actually need to click on an arrow. Let's just open. So we'll open one of these files, okay, right here, and I'll put it links below. And remember, some links inside the text so you can navigate. And this one, if I'm right, it's our large type. And all of this, you can see how many of them. And look on the sizes, they're huge. What I would recommend for you to do with these models, because if for some reason in the future you decide to use the Comfy UI or any other ones, they actually can use the exactly same models. So you don't need downloaded them again if you're using some other versions. So I would recommend create maybe a central place or link them afterwards, just so you download it once. Well, let's go have it on this fun journey to download this. And again, I'm just going down here, YAML, I'm going to click on this arrow, put it in a path when I need it, and click Save. Depend on the speed of your connections. It maybe feels like take eternity for you to download it. Sometimes it's maybe will take a little bit faster. So right here, I think mine is one downloaded, so it's already done. I'm a little bit on faster connections. So I'm going to download these files. Then I'm going to download these. The difference is one is for larger models, one is for 16-bit for the smaller models, so you can, or medium size, so you can use all of them as you continue. And you don't necessarily need to download it all. You can start with a medium model and just use it on 16, but it just gives you more flexibility what you can use it with. Again, they won't load it all at the same time, but they will be accessible. And notice the medium, they're much smaller, so they're not as a large models, so you can just use it medium if you need it, but informations it's have a little bit less inside, so in this case. And after we finish downloading this, we need also going and downloaded models from our anime diff and put it in anime diff model folder. Well, we'll go to this in a second. Let's go right now finish downloading all of this. Okay, so now we need downloaded all of these files, and as well, beside these files, we also want to go and download it files for anime diff. Let me show you where do you need to place them. First, for our ControlNet, we want to place it inside the model directory for ControlNet. So right here is our stable diffusion. We're going down, and we'll go down to the models, and in the models folder, and this should be from your top. So right here down, you see the models. Next, we're going to ControlNet directory, and in this place, you want to save the Python and YAML files. So all of these files we want to save in this directory. After you save the ControlNet, we want to save files now for our animation. And animations, we want to go ahead and inside the extension folder, and we have it as the WebI animate diff, and you're going to the models, and you want to save inside that folder. Okay, so we have it our models installed, we have it our application running. When you install all models and everything, I would recommend to restart your server anytime when you update extensions. But also, if you just update one model, you can just refresh, reread all these new models in runtime. For example, right here we have a ControlNet. If we expanding, you can see down below we have button right here, which is click, and that is will refresh our model set available for us. So let's see what models we have. If we click open for the models, we can select directly from the list. And if I'm going to like select open pose, for example. And also, if you look right here, model, now it's available models directly for open pose. If you prefer not to select manually, you can always go and check from control type which one you like it. For example, I can go right here, just click on open pose, and it will automatically select them in my drop down box. You will still have some options select from this. For example, open pose, you can see right here it's a full, it means have a full body analysis, like with even the eyes, mouth, hands, fingers, everything. But if you, for example, just need a face, you can select face only or other things. What does ControlNet, for example, in this case do? It is take a photo, analyze, and showing you what pose it is, and after using this pose to create your image. Well, as we're speaking about ControlNet, let me show you example of that. Right here, I click and uploaded that image, what we're going to use it, and I take this image in a studio, just one light setup, Rembrandt lighting kind of was. And you can see it's a young lady sitting with hands kind of crossing on the stuff. Before do analysis, I want also enable Pixel Perfect. What Pixel Perfect does, it's analyze width and height of the image and properly display. Otherwise, if we don't do this, it's maybe kind of shrink on one side, make a little bit distortions. So let's go ahead, enable this. And to the preview how ControlNet will work, we have this kind of button between preprocessor and model, and it's look like explosions. So we need to just click on that. At this time, what's happening, if we look on our server as it's running, it's preloaded model and analyze. Notice what we have here. We have our image and we have a preprocessor preview where we have an outline of our face, lips, eyes, hands, shoulder, and fingers. So it's all the model that we're going to use. And let me show you how it works. I'm going for now just disable ControlNet here and I'll type, let's go portrait lighting. So we'll use it Rembrandt lighting. Okay, and we'll say, let's go set oil painting. Just kind of says what we want to do. Okay, if we just type here, and you know what, let's go put it 720. So it's a width 512 and 720 height. It will create portrait for us to match size. Notice I disable the ControlNet. Next, what we're going to do, you just click on generate. And right here you can see it generating kind of like portrait look. Obviously face is distorted and I did not use any negative settings. I just want plain create, but it does not look even closer what she had. So let's go ahead and enable at this time ControlNet and click generate. And if we compare this image to our photo, you can see the pose is same. Look on positions of hand, position of the head. So it is what powerful ControlNet we can utilize this. And when we start doing animations with ControlNet, it will take poses what will be inside the video and apply that motions in our video. So for example, if I move my head this way, the same will happen in the video. Okay, so we're done with the ControlNet, and as we installed, we also have it right here, animate div. So we have two of this installed. Before we actually start doing and produce work, I would recommend to go and have a few setting adjustments. Well, setting number one, if we're going inside the settings for settings, that I will recommend go down here with animate div. It will be on your left side, down almost to the bottom where I categorize, click on animate div. And in this area, I just want be sure we're on properly place where reading our models. And you can see it is extensions is the where we animate models is exactly place where we put it. Next, default save format. You can always change this as we're working, but if you prefer just work with the MPEG, you can press here or disable. GIF, or GIF, depend how you pronounce. It will create animations, image, PNG is single file, and MP4 will create animations as well. They also have a property where you can save everything, and also we're going to use it FFmpeg. By the way, FFmpeg should be installed with a shutter application what I'm showing. If you don't have it, or for some reason you decide not to install it, you do require have it FFmpeg in that case, and you can download it for free and use it. It will be at ffmpeg.org. Again, all the links will be down below, so you can download it and install it. I highly recommend to have this specific encoder because we're going to use in a very many different applications and animations with AI. Okay, so we have these properties. Let's go next. Click on ControlNet. It will be in the same area, which is give us kind of information what located. At this time, we don't need to modify elements, except we want to be sure allowed other script to control this extension. We want enable. Click on that. So it's meaning other scripts, like for example, anime div or other things can access ControlNet and kind of working together. So we want to enable this checkbox. And rest, we already have a 3.2. It's how many visible. Just leave it everything alone, and be sure we have it all maps set properly. You can modify if you need it, but all what we need right here, it's allowed. After we make these changes, we want to actually click and it says apply settings. After apply settings is succeeded, we can just go ahead and click reload. If reload for some reason does not work very well, you can always just go and restart your server. Okay, at this time, if we open, we have it our anime div, and we have it ControlNet. Well, let's go try first to do just animations without ControlNet, and we have a few options we can kind of work with this. We can type in, for example, we can leave it just 20 steps, just test, it's fine. We can leave it this way. CFG scale, written documentation, because sometimes they recommend decrease, increase some of those properties. And in the future videos, we will going more over all of the settings and how they work. For now, I just want to show you how to install it and let you have a little bit fun exploring on your own. Okay, next, I want to be sure we have it model selected. And you can see right here, have it all these different type models. By default, it's version 3. We're going to use it. And it's using SD 1.5. So it is stable diffusion. It's not XL model. For the XL, you need a lot of different animation diff. And I want to be sure my models stable diffusion will match at least on what version it is. And mostly because it's how many nodes we're using inside the model to create a specific image, and we want to be sure it will be in the same amount. Okay, we're done here. Let's click on MP4 and I disable PNG and other ones. Next, number of frames. And notice we have number of frames and frames per second. For example, a normal movie, what you have in the interior, it's going with 24 frames per second. Sometimes animation shot with 12 frames per second to make it easier going, because just imagine, and in 1 second you need to have 25 changes. So 12 was easy. So sometimes animation do this way. On a TV, for example, it's going about America 30 frames, 25 in pulse system in Europe, and some now have it even of slow motion, 60, 120 frames and so on. I would recommend use it 12 or 24 frames per second. You can always go less, but it will be much choppier animation. You can fix this animation afterwards, or call frame interpolations, add additional frames with applications like the Topaz Video AI, which does great upscale and interpolation, and it's actually almost must to have it companion applications if you do animations with AI. I'll put link down below for you as well. And reason why I say almost, because it's not a free applications, but you can find on good sales very often. And I do have it, I use it all the time, and I will highly recommend, if you think you're going to create AI animations, to have that specific applications. Okay, so let's set, we have it 8 frames and a number of frames. How many frames do we want it? So if we have it 8 frames per second, 16 frames give us 2 seconds. So I'm going to say 24 frames with 8 frames per second we're going to do. Left, let's leave it everything by default. Okay, and one thing we wanted right here, it says enable animation diff. Let's click on this. Otherwise, it will just generate image without animations. So let's go ahead, click generate. Because some of the models and what is using, I have it kind of feeling we may have it some funny noises, grumbling, maybe create even. And this is a very common if you have a different type of models, different type sampling method. So you need to be sure they all work together. And like I say, we'll look more on this in the videos, in our future videos, where we're going to going over all the settings, optimizations, and how they all work together. Okay, as it's progress, let me explain what's happening. You'll notice right here, it's have it 5, it's build some frames, 24 frames, but they're all different, and because it does not necessarily do the kind of coherence in animation. And that is happening because we don't have it some point of reference. And AI will create one image, another image, and to make more coherence, we need or click here where we have it, or we can have it reference video for this. Okay, and right here we have it, our super abstract animation. It does not have it very coherence, does not going smooth like you maybe see some Sora or other animations, but it is our beginning step. It's when we start working with computer animation and creating. By the way, if you just enable MP4, you won't have this preview. This preview happens when you enable GIF or GIF, the preview, and then you can watch. It doesn't mean if you have it only MP4, it won't create it. It will create and save in the folder if you remember where you're pointing, and after you can access. So let me show you a couple other things you can do. I notice I will be going to render right now because it will take a little bit time, but I want to show you how you can do all the steps. And in the next videos, we're going to work with more details and go a little bit more precision how to make them look very nice. So let's see what we can do. First, as I said before, you can reference video. To reference video, we can click and says drop video here. When it's uploading, you can notice it will analyze and tell how many frames and how many frames per second currently video have. So this is meaning when I click generate robot, it will try to work on these videos, analyze by these videos, and apply it on that, but it will create that many frames. It's one reason why I don't necessarily want to do right now. The next thing is what you can do. Let me disable a reference video. You can utilize ControlNet. So let's open expand ControlNet. And you remember, like I showed before, how you can create an image based on ControlNet. You can do same things with animations. But here's one interesting thing. The ControlNet support only single images or batch inputs. So the batch is meaning set of the images. Video is consist of the multiple images together, and before processing you actually needed separate this. It's where that shutter program is coming in place. So it's meaning, like here example, you can take video, you can fit video in application, and that application will create for you this each frames. After this, you all need to do copy the path where all the single frames, and again this is from video, and you can see if I scroll up and down you can see how the animations even happen there. Yeah, so we can go there and put it our input directory. And after this, Pixel Perfect will do same things as before. And now if you start processing, for example, with open pause, which is, remember, what take it off, let's enable. Then in this case, when it's create these animations, it will take a image from ControlNet, read the pause, whatever you set, and create it. You don't necessarily need to have it even video. You can create your own puppet and create your own animations and pose, and then it will work with your image. The problem what you most likely will have, it's again not that much coherence between faces. There may be change in everything. To combine them together, you will need to enable another ControlNet unit and work with other elements, but we will cover this a little bit later. And you know, if you little bit impatient and you want to do just right now, be sure to check my other videos earlier that I did it about a year ago or something about ControlNet and how all of this work together. They will be slightly outdated because they was using a little bit older version, but it will show you a very good example how you can do and put it on your right path to experiment and just make discovery by yourself. Well, I think this is almost all what I want to show you right now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.